All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, Libra, to your monthly reading. I hope that everybody's doing well. It's good to see you. And let me just introduce myself if you're brand new to the channel. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and we'll be looking at the next 6 to 8 weeks. I've created this for October, but there's a lot of messages that are valid right here and right now. There's Apollo. He just came out. I'll bring him up a little bit later. But I'll scoot aside. That's my little dog, Apollo, there. So as I was saying, with a Mercury retrograde right on the horizon, we'll be looking at some messages in the channeled messages and also just in the spread itself that are going to help quite a bit, okay? So you joined at just the perfect time. I have a brand new format that I've been using, so let me walk through that real quick and then we'll get started because there's a lot to talk about. So the beginning portion is exactly the same. We'll be looking at all of the messages on the table. He's eating a little treat in the background. We'll be looking at the messages on the table, which are my channeled messages. I get that from dreams, from intuition, from meditation, and basically it's just me working with my guides. After that, we'll take a look at the Celtic cross, and the Celtic cross will bring through whatever spirit wants to share with us today. And then I'll always expand that to look at 4 major areas, which include health, wealth, love, and destiny. That's the main portion. It's the same. I'm no longer doing a review. Instead, we'll do like a big idea of what we're looking at. And then we'll go into blessings and blocks, which I've been doing on my weekly readings on Sunday. So the blessing and the block will help you see something that's really great and something that you probably want to avoid. And then I will, while I'm doing the soul path, I'll also put up a live poll where based on what we're looking at, there might be some questions that make sense for you to vote on. So you get to kind of affect it just like I do on my weekend readings. Then after we do the viewer's choice question, we'll move to the meditation and a final card at the end. So I hope you enjoy this slightly updated format. I think you will. And we can get started here. Let me pull Apollo up for just a second. He just got up from his nap. Okay, buddy, want to say hi to everybody? So as I'm getting started here, one other message. If you want to show some support today, there's a couple ways you can do it. One is through super stickers and super chat. Apollo likes that quite a bit. The other way is if you're watching this on replay, you can use just the thanks button there right by share. Also, just a quick note, if you've never followed me before on social media, consider doing that. These are my main handles, and I'll put a pinned comment in just a second. The only one that's a little bit different is Twitter. So I'm going to let Apollo get back to his napping, which is super important, and we can get to business here. Also, one final note. If you haven't started watching me on Sundays, you should. I do a 7-day forecast, which is something new. I didn't used to do weeklies, but I do now. So you can check me out every Sunday. Everyone's welcome. And I'm really close to a milestone here on the channel. I'm about, I think, 6,000 away from hitting a milestone. So if you've never subscribed, consider doing that. Or if you know someone that would like this, share it with them so we can get to the next milestone. And I'll do a special Q&A video or something like that. I'll ask my members what they'd like. And hit the thumbs up once. It helps a lot. For anyone who's kind enough to give me a super sticker, super chat, thank you. I will acknowledge you at the very end of the video so I don't interrupt the flow, but I do appreciate it. Okay? All right, let's get into it. So today, your totem is really cool, actually. It reminds me of summer. And even though we're kind of at the end of it here, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, your totem today is honeysuckle. Usually it's either yellow or white or goldish, yellow, white, something in between, but such a beautiful totem to come through, such a sweet smelling totem as well. And there's a lot of like sub-totems that kind of come with it because it is it's something that attracts a lot of pollinators, which I think is really good for you, Libra, because as we're looking at the next month, what I see is a lot of attractive energy. This is very magnetic. A lot of things starting to grow, starting to get done. So honeysuckle to me represents this sort of last burst of energy and productivity that wants to come through here at the close of 2021. It's hard to believe we're entering like the last quarter of the year, but we will as we get into October. So again, your totem is honeysuckle. As I was just saying, I see it as very magnetic. It attracts pollinators, and each of these pollinators, butterflies, birds, and bees, they have really high frequency energy. With the butterflies, it's symbolizing change and transformation. So oftentimes in order for something to come through in your life, you have to let something go or you have to shift internally. There has to be a change that happens. So I think for you, what you want to be looking at is where are there areas in your life that you can let go of something? Is there something that you've been holding back on and wanting to explore, wanting to change? This is the universe giving you a nudge to do just that if that's something that feels right to you. Also, it's a time for, I put this in the next one, but this is also about taking flight, and it leads to the next pollinator, which is a bird. So to me, this shows particularly decks that are druid-based, birds will be swords often. So it's like communication. And just because of what they do, they're using their voice to communicate through the air, their call. So news, ideas, projects taking flight, both the butterflies and the birds showing that ability to see things move. But the birds vocalize it. Change happens first internally, then starts to show up externally with butterflies. Then with birds, you start to hear it and see it. And they also move things around too, like nest building. So some of you might even be interested in moving or creating a nest or a new home. This can also be a sign of fertility since birds lay eggs. And again, what are you kind of incubating? What are you creating there? And then of course the bees, and I actually see bees as a team sort of energy. And this comes up a couple of times. I'll talk about it more at the end because I mentioned teamwork again. It's going to be essential to getting the job done. And I think for you, the decision is, am I the queen bee or am I one of the worker bees, or where do I fall in the hierarchy? And Hierophant energy would definitely be a part of bees. For birds, it's swords, and for butterflies, it's death, it's change, or the world, or the fool. It's somewhere, or judgment, any of those big change cards. So those are what's coming through as subtotems of the honeysuckle, which I see as the lover's card. Now, I did research, but I couldn't validate this one, so I'm not putting it in the cards, but I'll talk about it. Because my intuition told me it wasn't right, and when I went to the myth, I couldn't find it. So there's kind of a Greek myth about two lovers that I found on the internet, but I couldn't find the original myth. But basically, Eros, or the god of love, extended the growing period of honeysuckles, so they say, so that these two lovers could be together longer. When I did the research, though, the myth between these two lovers, it didn't seem to match up. I still like the idea of honeysuckles being attached to the energy of love. Because it's attractive, I still think it fits. We don't need the Greek myth. And I won't list it and go into it unless I can substantiate it. But if you do a Google, you'll see which one I'm talking about. But the more I looked at it, I couldn't find enough information to support it. So I'm not going to bring it forward any more than that. But I will say attractive energy is definitely coming through for you. And you just have to decide what you want to do with that. Okay. The next thing that I want to look at is the fact that honeysuckle is actually both a shrub and a vine, but the vine was really interesting because it can grow up to 80 feet or 24 meters. So I think that when you kind of consider how far that reaches, one of the decisions that you want to make right now is, where can I actually make the most impact? Because whatever you're putting your energy into right now, I can see a lot of growth. You don't want to misplace that. You don't want to sort of like focus on also putting things into an area where it's just sort of like, let's put it this way too. I should say what you say matters a lot too. So make sure that you're spreading news and information that's correct. So don't spend energy into things that you don't want to. Don't say things that you don't want to. Instead, focus on investing in something that can really grow, because you can make a big difference. You could go from like the 7 of Pentacles to the 9 of Pentacles. So let's focus on growth and recovery rather than sort of like spiraling into old habits. Okay. Also, sending out your feelers to make things happen is important, like making a phone call, sending an email, checking in with someone. All of those things matter as well. And so because how do vines spread? They have little feelers. They also wrap around things. So your own sort of energetic feelers are what you want to send out there. Meditate and think about things like what's this going to do for me? Does this make sense, etc. Okay. Honeysuckle can also be used as a sort of medicinal herbal type thing. And when I was doing research, basically this can be used for urinary disorders, headaches, diabetes, arthritis, and cancer. Obviously, you want to make sure that if you're trying to treat any of these ailments, you work with your doctor, make sure everything is okay. This would be an additional sort of supplement. The other thing with this is there's a lot of different things out there that can look like honeysuckle. So again, I think you need to work with a professional if you're going to use it for any of these things. And as with any supplement, who knows if it works, but when I'm looking at these things, actually, I usually look at your totem to identify things that we need to pay attention to. So urinary disorders, this is really about making sure that you're putting enough fluid in your body, because a lot of times this can show that we're holding on to toxins and things like that. So I would say amp up your water, make sure you're drinking enough water. Headaches to me could be very much like the Nine of Wands, where there's a lot of pressure, and Nine of Swords. And I would say working on stress is going to be important, stress management. And then when we're looking at diabetes and arthritis, even cancer, we're looking at diet, exercise, and really trying to take any sort of toxic energy out of our life as well. So that's the piece that I focus on. And I think that will help all of us, no matter what's going on in our body right now, just to kind of focus on detoxification. So overall health and well-being, and then detoxifying, or making any sort of negativity kind of leave your environment, is really important. Interestingly enough, because we're working with a vine or a shrub that kind of climbs a little bit, avoid entanglements right now, especially when we have love and relationships. For some of you, this could be about mixing work and love, or friendship and work, something that would normally seem like it would be okay, but if you really look at it and think, can I work with this person? Or what if I'm going to become roommates with a coworker or something like that? Make sure there's boundaries and that you're not crisscrossing that, because this could get complicated. So the other thing that's nice though with all of this, because we have something that anytime I'm looking at a vine, you can also call in what you want with that attractive energy from the flower, and also this ability to climb any sort of obstacle. I feel like if you're trying to manifest, this is a really good symbol and a really good time for that. All right. Finally, whatever you start, you have a good chance of finishing. New habits will stick, because again, as I was doing research, this vine is kind of hard to kill, and it travels quite a bit. As I said, 80 feet or 24 meters, that's a long ways that it can kind of go up a trellis. So I feel like you have a good chance of getting something started and finished. So let's embrace that part of it as well. Okay. Let's move on to the next piece here. The next few things all came through in dreams, and I've abstracted them so that they make sense. One thing that I was looking at was splicing a telephone wire. None of us even use, well, I don't even have a landline anymore. I'm sure most people don't. We're all kind of focusing on cell phones nowadays. But what I was seeing here was a traditional telephone wire, someone trying to splice it or cut it, but it wasn't working on the other phone. Either it wasn't powered on, or something happened when they spliced it. So what does this mean? Well, we have a Mercury retrograde on the horizon, and you're watching just in time. You're about 10 days before, so the shadow's starting. It'll begin on September 27th. It'll end on October 17th. So the middle of this month to the middle, well, the end of this month to the middle of next. So right now is a good time to start something if you want to, or just after that retrograde period. In the middle, good for cleaning up. Really important for paying attention to the communication. What I see with this is not to necessarily just rely on a traditional way of communicating because it's worked in the past. Something may interrupt that flow. It could be spliced, it could be cut off. Make sure messages are both delivered and understood. The phone being off can also be that when you try to communicate in a certain fashion, it's just not quite clicking with the other person. If you have an opportunity to do either in person or, because of COVID, a video communication, that's going to be better, because you can read the nonverbals. You can see if they're paying attention, if they're interested, or if they seem, to not be happy about what you're saying. I prefer this to letter, text, or email, or anything where you're leaving a recording, because I was shown nobody has these anymore, or very few people, but I was shown an old school recorder that you would have back in the 80s and 90s at an answering machine. Everything's digital for the most part now. Maybe if you're old school, you have it, or your grandparents have it or something, but most people don't have answering machines anymore. So, but the answering machine wasn't turned on. And even if it was, it didn't look like it was working. Don't leave a message. If you text, say, call me. If you email, say, call me. I think it's important to have video presence, face-to-face. If you have to do telephone, it's okay. But it's better if you can see the person, okay? This will help you get through Mercury retrograde and just to make sure things are all right. And always check up on something. Just because you put it in the post or you emailed it doesn't mean that it got to them. So cover things off and make sure that you're not kind of missing out on something, okay? Welcome to the new channel member. I appreciate that. All right, let's take a look now at the next piece. All right, so I was seeing practice, and very specifically, it was track and field. And what I see for you is a chance to prepare. I saw some competition on the horizon for you, and it's important right now for you to kind of do the training necessary. Rest whenever you can, because when I'm shown track and field as a totem, it's showing me that there's going to be sprints, short-lived, very intense periods where you're going to put a lot of energy in. Then you've got to rest. Track and field, well, I should say running a sprint versus long distance, there's a difference because you're not pacing yourself as much. There's going to be moments where you have to go on all octaves and get something done. And then if there's a few days or a couple of weeks where it's a little bit less, take advantage of that, get some rest. Because I was also seeing that you're going to be awakened early. We'll talk about that in a second. So any day that you can actually get your sleep and get your rest, do it. And then when you have to kind of go on all octaves, do that as well. Back to teamwork. There are relay races in track. And so even when you're working solo, you're still kind of working in a team. So some of you may have that handoff that's important. So you do your piece completely, but make sure the handoff is completed. Because if you run great and you drop the baton, that other person's going to lose time, or it might not count. I can't remember all the rules and regulations, but you need a clean handoff. So that's kind of what I'm seeing is if you're in your own lane doing your own thing, that's fine, but you have to be aware of who's giving it to you and who you're giving it to afterwards. You're still part of the team, even if you're doing an isolated piece. Do it well and connect well. The connections are the most important things that I keep seeing for October, for Libra in particular, because you're good with communication, but some other people may not be good with picking up, or they may not be ready to give it to you. So you have to do your best to sort of figure out the timing, okay? I think that's the key thing here. Power in numbers also, if you can connect with more people, that's good. It's going to be important. All right. The next thing also, Spirit being very literal with me, showing me ironing. Ironing an outfit, doesn't matter what it was. Ironing out the details is what's going to matter. Don't rush anything out of the gate, particularly if you're a business person or someone that's inventing, someone that's doing something artistic. It needs to be fully baked. Everything has to look good. Don't sell anything that you wouldn't buy. This is really important if you're in it's figurative and it's actually literal too. So if your job is to sell people products, services, insurance, whatever, and you wouldn't stand behind it or you don't see value in it, you have to ask yourself why you're putting that out in the world, because we should be making things a little bit better. So this is a chance to get real with yourself and think, what am I doing? Does it have a good impact on coworkers, society, the world at large? And if not, why am I doing it? The other thing for yourself is if there's something that you care about and someone's rushing you, and you wouldn't want to see the rushed product, service, or idea, don't do it. Stand your ground, be strong, and say, no, this has to go out and look good. You get one chance to really make that impression, that first impression, and it's hard to recover if you just aren't doing a good job at something. So quality matters. Also, how much of an impact this is making, that matters too, and how much you care about it. So you've got to look at all of those different things to kind of evaluate where you're at, what you want to do. Okay, the last thing that I saw was kind of just early awakenings for many of you that are starting to tap into spirituality a little bit more, whether it's your intuition is kicking in or you're just a very creative person. I kind of got an image of a night owl. So Spirit may awaken you in the early hours of the evening or morning. So whether it's like 1 or 2 in the morning or 5 or 6 in the morning, you might get this sort of spurt of late energy or early energy. And I would say strike when the muse comes. Write down your dreams or ideas, because it's hard sometimes to pull that back. Just like when you wake up and you try to remember a dream, if you don't quickly scribble 2 or 3 points, it's going to be hard for you to go back there. That's all I do. I don't sit there and write the whole dream. I'll do bullet points, just the key things. And then that's enough for me to kind of go back and remember the pieces. And if you are inspired and it's a time that's different, go with it, because that's when it's coming through. We can't always control the downloads, but if we don't do something with it, it kind of just goes back out into the ethers. Okay. So those are the main messages for you today. Again, I like the magnetic energy. I loved that we had sort of pollinators that each kind of symbolize their own things: the butterflies, the bird, and the bees, basically showing change, development, and also some teamwork and movement. And then I think the important thing for you to figure out is how to make sure that those connections happen in communications to make sure that you don't miss something, okay? So if you missed anything here, any of these messages on the table, just a quick note that I always post them to social media. It may take a day or two after I do this, but you'll see it later. So I'm going to put a pinned comment right now so you don't have to click pause and try and read all of that. So you can go to my website if you would like more information on these, and you can also take a look at my social media. So there you go. I'm going to pin that right now so you have it for future reference. And while I'm getting set up here, just a quick reminder, the next piece that we're going to look at is the Celtic cross. I don't really focus the Celtic cross in any one direction. It's mostly going to be whatever spirit needs to come through. On the weekends, I do a kind of a focus Celtic cross, but whenever I do sign by sign, I just let spirit kind of say what it needs to say. So at this point, I'm going to be quiet. Let me just check my settings here real quick, and now we're going to get started here. So, all right. Good to see everybody. I hope your week has been going well. I'm so glad that you joined today. By the way, these messages are valid whether you watch them now or next month, or whether you watch them live or on replay. If you intended to or happen to show up, then Spirit's working through me to deliver the messages. You can use this for sun, rising, and moon, Venus as well. Actually, any aspect of the chart that you happen to know, you can also watch on behalf of others. If you ever need a message, just show up. A message will more than likely come through. All right, let's take a look at these messages coming through. And you got some really strong ones, including that tarantula at the end, which we'll talk about as I get to it. All right, so let's begin with your catalyst. You got a dual catalyst. I love this deck, but they stick together a lot, these cards. The first card is the Creator, a reminder that this month you have that capacity to really dig in and create, which I love. This is good for the artists out there, and there's a lot of artists that are Libra. So I really want you to get into the flow. Remember what I said, that a lot of that inspiration could be coming at either inconvenient, inopportune, or extremely early times. So whatever's kind of coming through, make sure that you're doing your best to record that moment. If there's someone in your life that has made you doubt your capacity to lead, to create, or to do any given thing, this card is reminding you that you always have a direct channel to the Creator. You're a creator and you're connecting to the Creator, and other people can sometimes be a conduit or a buffer, but don't let them get in the way of your own creative flow. I think that's really important. Great time for art, great time for expression, and a reminder that you kind of have to find your inner empress or emperor energy and sometimes call the shots. We have the Crone card here. It was reversed, but it really doesn't matter how this one shows up because these are circular decks. But the Crone card, we could be looking at an older divine feminine energy in your life, grandma or mom. matriarch in your family that may need a little bit more from you. And so that energy is coming in. There could also be a really strong a piece of advice that's coming in. And you just have to sort of figure out how you want to integrate that energy, especially if it's advice. This can also be looking at the long-term perspective in your life. The crone, again, representing the future, and maybe even you planning for retirement or for a rainy day, which I like. And we also have on this, I believe it looks like a crow or a raven on this. So for many of you, messages from beyond are coming through. We're getting close to Halloween and Day of the Dead and All Saints Day and All Souls Day, all of that. So the veil is going to be getting thinner over the next month, which is kind of cool that Libra goes into that, because birthdays are starting soon as well for Libra. So this is going to be a powerful time for you. Not only for many of you will it be birthday season, but it's also going to be a time where you can connect to ancestral energy, spiritual energy, and purpose. And the crone is reminding you that we have a finite amount of time on this planet. What are you doing with it? What's bringing value to you, right? So create something that you really find value in. Make sure that you are taking ownership over this. This is also, it could be like a queen card or a king card, like divine feminine energy and creative energy. So it's a good month for you. It's a very good creative month for you as well. All right, let's move along. At the center here, we have busyness, basically. We have the 8 of Wands. I always love this particular card because it shows the person keeping up with the pace here. We have a motorcyclist. We have all of the wands in air and flight. Sometimes you'll see rockets flying with this card. So the most important thing for you is to not lose track of yourself, not to get behind the curve, not to get behind the overall energy. Make time for what matters this month. There is room in the 8 of Wands to delegate. What's missing in this one is it is a community card. There are other people, but they're not usually seen or illustrated in the 8 of Wands. So as I said, you may be doing your own little moments where you're flying solo or riding solo here, but there will be connections being made. The beginning of the month, the end of the month. And so maybe the most important, I should say ostensibly the most important piece will be during retrograde, where you're doing some stuff on your own. So you want to make sure that you are trying to connect as necessary. With the 7 of Wands more than the 8, there's an opportunity to delegate, but it still exists within the 8. So just because all of these things are happening doesn't necessarily mean you need to do all of them. You can subtract in Wands and still be successful. You can go down to the 6 or the 4 of Wands and be very, very successful, and the 3 of Wands. So when you remove things in this particular suit, sometimes you get more keenly focused and you can start to do other things. So if you're a leader and you get through something, you'll delegate, you'll go back down, you're going to get your way back down to the 1, 2, 3 of Wands, where you're starting something new, you're manifesting, you're planning, and then you start to see it happen. So a lot of creative people are constantly in that 1, 2, 3, 4 cycle. They don't even have to go up to the higher ones because they're constantly producing, ideating, and creating. So just decide how much you want, basically, long story short. And if you want to give up some of this stuff around you so you can focus on one thing, there's always that option here. But ultimately, 8 of Wands is really great for business, for relationships, for everything. It just shows me that you're going to be able to do a lot at once. But there's a new opportunity that could be presenting itself amidst all of this work. That's why I think there might be some choices that have to be made. So there's also people that are recognizing hard work. You may feel like you're not being recognized, but it's there. Maybe you have to even knock on someone's door and have a conversation too, so that they can see this. But I see it. I see a lot of great work being done, and then I see a recognition or offer for that as well. You might be deciding to take some of the resources you have and reinvest them, redirect them. Can't get much better than 8 of Wands and an Ace of Pentacles right at the center. That's telling me some good stuff is coming through, okay? It just could be a little inconvenient for some of you because there's so much going on. That offer could be work, it could also be love. Everything seems to be perfect, and then there's a curveball, but a good curveball that you have to kind of decide, how do I fit this into my life? All right, deep past, we have the Page of Swords in reverse. Some of you have been in a sort of revisionist state, trying to get things a little bit better, a little bit ironed out, as I was saying. I saw that in my visions earlier. I think it's good to be critical, but we don't want to go to the hypercritical. When I look at how this is kind of affecting you, I see an imbalance. So we have a Page of Swords and a Queen of Swords. They were both reversed. Some of you may be taking one piece of feedback and blowing it out of proportion. Remember, it's one point of view. and you can take it or you can leave it. And I think that's an important thing, is just to decide the source, like who it's coming from and how valid it is for you. But ultimately, I like that you're showing up, and you're showing up a lot, and there's some partnership energy here with the Queen and the King of Swords. So let's just kind of take this one at a time. I would say some criticism can be coming through. You're capable of figuring out how much or how little to pay attention to that, and take it from there. Judgment, a decision is at hand. Now, the Judgment card is upright, which to me shows me kind of like it's an auspicious placement. I feel like many of you know what you need to do, and it's just a question of timing, now or later. And that's a question really only you can answer. Some of you might be working through a loss or a change in your life. It's going to get easier this month. The hardest piece sometimes is the justice piece, deciding. Once judgment happens, it's sort of been decreed and delivered, and it's more of sort of like a coping thing where you have to make peace with it and take some action on it. But overall, looks good to me. Judgment in and of itself is good, and it shows rebirth, regrowth, and an ability to bounce back. So if you've been going through a difficult period, this is the phoenix rising from the ashes. What you have to focus on, and the reason Honeysuckle came through with all those different health notes, is just personal health and strength. The card was reversed, which can show fatigue, can show a sense of just feeling a little bit worse for the wear. So you need to make sure that if it's too much, you say no. If you need to go to the doctor and take care of something, by all means do that. The other thing with this is it shouldn't be a ton of work. Relationships, work relationships, and love relationships, I should say, and then also anything in your life. If it's worth doing, there's always a little push, but if you're constantly doing the lion's share of the work or trying to make that lion work, it's not necessarily worth it. So where in your life are you forcing things? Where are you doing or overcompensating for people that may not be showing up as much as they need to be? This is where you could walk away a little bit and say, no, it's not balancing out the way that I'm expecting, okay? So take care of physical strength, focus on leadership, and making sure that you also are getting a chance to do things for yourself and that you can see a return on the energy. Strength reverse is just exhaustion sometimes because it's taking so much to manage, partner, or talk with or to somebody, okay? Now we have a tricky card here in the near future. This could be a potential block for you. We have the Seven of Swords. So for some of you, there's going to be a revelation. Someone could be coming through and showing their true colors. So they might say they're going to do something and fall short. They may just outright say something negative and it gets back to you. It's also a reality check for you to make sure, just as we said at the center, that you're not overcommitting. Because overcommitment, like having too much and then one other thing coming through without letting something go from your plate, can lead to like, yeah, I can do it, but you can't actually do it. So make sure that you're being realistic about what's going on. And as I said in my channeled messages, that if you can't complete it to a point where you would want it, then it shouldn't be done. That's when you need to ask for help. So ask for help, delegate, or say no. And that will help you negate or transmute this energy of the Seven of Swords, okay? Because really we also have the Six of Swords here in the outcome. So for some of you, you could just fast forward to the Six of Swords, which is, I need to walk away from this. This doesn't make sense, okay? So there's a reality check that's going on internally. There could also be some sort of a revelation externally of something that you need to know. Once you have that, it feels like you can move on. Remember, whatever that is, you're going to be able to bounce back because you have something else that's worth your time and energy. All right. So I like that. All right. You showed up here, which is great. We have the Queen of Swords reversed. Let's look at the positive aspects of having her reversed. I like Queen of Swords. I especially like it for Libra because it is you. But what at its best, it is being brief, concise, honest, and not sugarcoating things. And it is good for getting things done. You want to be mindful of being perceived as being too short, insensitive, or cruel with the delivery. But there's nothing wrong with the reverse Queen of Swords. She can revise, she can get the job done. She's not messing around, she's respected. So let's kind of embrace those elements of the Queen of Swords, and let's try not to come across insensitive, too curt, or too short. This was the telephone lines connecting. This is the Mercury retrograde. This is why we need to focus on not taking someone else's critique to heart too much and making sure that we're not obliterating someone if we have to critique them as well. That's the sort of fine tuning with that. I love that we have the King of Swords right in the environment here. So you've got a really nice partnering or pairing here. And notice how all of our totems are coming through. We've got the butterflies on the king, and we have the birds here on the swords, which I love. So the only thing missing in this deck maybe is the bees, but we've got a lot of what we were talking about with Honeysuckle. One thing that I would say is there's points where you could possibly sweeten the message a little bit, and that will help as well. King of Swords, this could be new love coming in for you. This could also be how you're being perceived by others. You may be critical of yourself, but look at how people see you. They see you as strong. They see you as capable. And I like that we have a divine feminine energy on this particular King of Swords cards. So for those of you that you identify as a woman and you're trying to kind of like make a difference and make a splash professionally, this is a really great card for you. And for men, this is encouraging you that sensitivity is also a key piece to good leadership. So we're seeing a nice blending of divine masculine and feminine. So men, you can be more sensitive. Women, you can be more assertive. And guess what? It doesn't matter. You can be seen. There's transformation. There's growth. It's good. Be yourself, okay? And change, if you need to, the environment. You don't have to change you. So there's a choice for some of you here. Do you want to change the environment? Because it could be a little wacky. There could be some things where people just are behind the curve and you have to decide, do I want to do the work and make that happen? Or is this just a lot of drama? And this could be a relationship or a job, but there could just be someone that you're with and they're not seeing things in a sort of modern way of looking at it. And you have to decide, do I stay, do I go? Really good time for communication. You are going to need to revise or to kind of fine tune the messaging a little bit depending on the audience, but I see good things. All right, hopes, fears, possibilities. We have the Nine of Wands. Nine of Wands, this is the headache thing that we got from Honeysuckle earlier. So when the card is reversed, it can be other people pushing you too much to the point that it just feels like I'm sick and tired of this, or I got it the first time. There's just a lot of sort of rote messaging that's going through. So make sure that you communicate like, I hear you, confirmation, receipt of delivery, because they could also be wondering if things are connecting. And then also make sure that if it's too much stress, if you're just kind of done with it, you need a vacation, you need to take a break, take some time off. You'll get it done though. The Nine of Wands is nearly there. Don't ever give up when this card comes through, but you're nobody's fool. You don't need to be pushed around. And if you're just really feeling that stress, you need to do something to let it go a little bit before completing the task or tasks that are at hand. Someone in your life too could be a little bit too pushy, because we're getting a couple of cards here with this. This is to me someone that is trying to get away with something, and they may be trying to just force you to look in another direction, but you know that you need to pay attention to that. So don't be pushed and don't accept anything less than the truth this month. Those two cards are coming through as potential blocks for you. Ultimately, this month is about movement. We have the Six of Swords. So where are you trying to go to? What are you trying to do? And are you ready to make that movement? Because this was the understanding and this is the execution of it. So there's something that you're moving on to, and it looks good because we have an ace right in the center. So I see a good opportunity, but it requires release. And it might mean cutting your losses with someone. You can't really win with the Seven or the Five of Swords. Five of Swords is harder communication-wise. Seven of Swords, it's already sometimes been said and done, and it's just a matter of, do I want to argue with this person, or is this just an expenditure and a waste of time and energy? So that's something you'll have to kind of look at and decide. Ultimately, though, I want you to focus on creation and that new opportunity on the horizon. We'll talk more when I go into the big picture, but already I can see that's the big picture, and you don't have time to sweat the small stuff, okay? All right, let's expand the forecast. We're gonna look at health, wealth, love, and destiny next. Your messages for health are fantastic. Here we have synchronicity, and we have that sort of yin yang, divine feminine and masculine energy coming through. It says, thank you, angels. I trust your well-timed guidance and signs. The card is reversed, but with this one, it really doesn't matter. I would say the only thing that you might be doing is overthinking a synchronicity or doubting if something came to you that you deserve it. But guess what? When we look at how you're being viewed and also like what's around you, you do deserve it. We have the King of Swords here and the Queen of Swords. So I feel like you have one or two opportunities that you've called into your life and into fruition, and trust that if it came through, you deserve it. The way that luck works, though, is preparedness, and I would say acceptance or surrender to that opportunity. Because you created it, that's the synchronicity. But if you're lucky enough, you're going to be at the right place at the right time. You're going to recognize that, and you're going to do something about it. So don't second guess it if there's a good opportunity. It may require, however, a move or travel. There may be someone in your life that tries to gaslight or make you second guess yourself. Don't. If you feel good about it, it is just what I'm saying, gaslighting, or someone that's making you doubt yourself. Otherwise, with the synchronicity, it looks good to me. Again, I keep focusing on the ace. There's something that you've called in and it's good. All you have to decide is that you're ready to receive, okay? Health-wise, a couple of things are coming through with this. One thing that's interesting with the synchronicity is that we call all things into our lives, even the difficult stuff. So if you've experienced something like you just got really sick from the cold or flu, it doesn't have to be COVID, just say you got sick. I've had moments in my life where I think I just need a break or I need some time off. You have to be careful when you have those thoughts, because a lot of times they're followed up by a broken bone or sickness. So make the break in your life. Take it yourself. Don't let the universe try to figure it out, because it usually doesn't do it right. So if you have something that goes wrong in your health, focus on what it's allowing you to do rather than why me? Well, actually think like, what can I do with this downtime? What am I not seeing right now? Because a lot of times it's slowing you down so that you can do more introspective work, kind of become the hermit, figure things out. So everything you're seeing right now, you've called in on some levels. Some other things here. If you're ready to make a change, are you really ready to make a change? Seven of Swords, again, is the universe saying, are you really sure? Only say it if you mean it, because if not, this is a card where we're kind of kidding ourselves, fooling ourselves, or lying to ourselves. So be honest with yourself. If you're not ready yet, wait until you are. You've got the dates for that retrograde. I'll look at it again, but you basically want to do it probably after, I think, the 17th of next month. So just kind of factor around the retrograde period to make sure that you're not like overcommitting. Let's see if I can find it here. I'll post it later on the channel as well. So it's, to me, I think the most important thing, I can't find it here, but I said it earlier. I think it's around, like I said, the 27th of this month is something like the 14th or 15th of next month. So I would say if you have to start something, do it when you watch this live, or plan for it towards the latter part of October, and just make sure that's when you do it, okay? All right, let's look at some other things here. Headaches because of the 9 of Wands. Thank you for reposting that. So the 25th to the 17th. All right, so 9 of Wands reversed. If you are, first of all, if you're feeling something going on in your body, don't force things. Like if you're just starting to work out again and something feels like it's not right, don't keep lifting, don't keep doing that, stop, go to the doctor. If you're feeling something like a headache and a migraine and it won't go away, go to the doctor as well. But migraines specifically are what the 9 of Wands can show. They can just be they can just be stress-based sometimes. So just make sure that you're reducing the stress. But if there's anything that is chronic or persists, get to the doctor, obviously. Focusing on general body well-being. The Strength card is literally sometimes how your body feels. So if you haven't gotten a massage or a chiropractic adjustment, or you haven't gone to your doctor for a checkup, or you're just feeling tired, rest, get that checkup, get some body work done, maybe decide to work out, but again, everything at your own pace. But that's what I'm seeing here is the head itself, and the head on multiple levels, like being honest with yourself and then focusing on any sort of stress, and then just the general body that we talked about. Looking at some of the Honeysuckle messages as well around inflammation, arthritis. Cancer was one of them as well. So making sure that your diet is antioxidant rich, that you're not smoking or drinking, that you're trying to take care of yourself so that you can stave off these things in the future. Some of you had a close call, maybe there was someone that passed away recently, and it's just giving you a different perspective on things. So use that and take that and do something positive with it, okay? Overall, pretty good messages, nothing catastrophic there with health. It's just about being honest with yourself mostly. All right, looking at wealth, career, life purpose, depending on what stage of life you're in, we have strength and guidance. I mentioned that the crone could actually be a divine feminine figure in your life, grandma, mom, counselor that's coming through with this really great advice or support. If that's there, you're lucky. If you don't have it, seek it out, because this sort of mentor-mentee energy is definitely coming through. And if you want to be a mentor to a mentee, to someone that needs advice, this is great, particularly for those of you that are retired or have just, wrapped up your career and you want to do something different. This is a chance to give back. So a lot of times you guys ask me, what if I'm not working? Well, this is a time to work with youth, basically. The other thing that I'm seeing with this, for those of you that are mid-career or in school, make sure that you trust the advice that you're getting and trust your own inner compass as well. You have everything that it takes, so don't let mom, dad, counselor push you into a path you don't want. And mid-career, don't be pushed by family, friends, or spouse to do something that you don't want to. You're always, a wise soul yourself, so make sure that it feels right and you're not getting pushed in a place you don't need to be. If it's not on paper, if it's not on a contract, don't trust it this month. Get it written down, particularly for work. So a handshake is not enough, a napkin, whatever. You need to get a lawyer and sign something. Make sure that this is written down, because what I see is someone that may fall short. So this is, if you're going to get married, this is a prenuptial. If you're going to start in business, this is making sure you understand what you're committing to, what the parachute is if they let you go, what you might have to do if you leave, if there's a non-competitive clause. Look at the fine print. Protect yourself. Make sure you're not being taken advantage of as well. Okay? So contracts, writing stuff down, really making sure that you're protected. All of that matters. Revise if you need to as well. If you're looking to get a new job, it may require a physical move. This is new job, new opportunity. This is movement. This is maybe travel of a more frequent nature if you're going to stay where you're at. So make sure that that's something that you want as well. Don't give up. If there's something that you've been working on for a long time, Nine of Wands comes through to say it's almost ready, and it's almost ready to be delivered, which I like. So I'm feeling good about how much progress you're making and what's coming through in the long run with that. Overall, it's pretty good. Again, if you're looking for work and you haven't, say you're unemployed or underemployed, or maybe trying to re-enter the market after having a child or being retired, you just want another job. I see something here. It's just a question of, does it feel right for you? Okay. Some of you are burned out, so make sure that you are doing what you need to take care of that. All right, looking now at love, we have hope. Hope is reversed. So some of you are trying to find a way to get back into that place of feeling positive or enthusiastic about your current relationship, about dating, or about partnership in general. The other text on this one, I'm going to put my glasses so I can read it. It says love and acceptance, and it says love is yours. Recognize your own divine worth. Choose loving thoughts. It's super powerful. So you want to think, I'm just as guilty as anyone else is about thinking a negative thought about yourself, whether it is I'm too old, no one's going to like me, or they're out of my league, or I'm not this enough or that enough. Not now. Don't put it out there, because the other people see you in a higher light than you see yourself. You're Queen of Swords reversed. They see you as King of Swords upright. Don't put that stuff in their head. They don't see it. They don't see it. That's not their reality. It's your reality. So get out of your head a little bit and look at it from other perspectives, and that's going to help you in love in particular. Be hopeful that something could change, something positive could develop. When I hear a client tell me something like this, I have no luck in love. I only attract bad men or bad women. I'm that. Like, that is actually self-fulfilling prophecies, and you're creating it. You're writing it in the books. So say something different. Like, I'm ready to call in a partner that is available, that is independent, that is mature, that is loving, that is whatever you want them to be. Rather than I don't ever call that person in. Say instead, I'm now ready. I'm only interested in this. Because now you're telling the universe, I see that I have value. I'm not sure why it's not here yet, but this is what I'm looking for. Show me the signs. Help me do the work on myself. It always starts within. It's not about the other people. So that's what you should be doing, is being hopeful, aspirational, and descriptive on what you want so you can manifest it, rather than observing something that was a cycle in the past and reinforcing a cycle that you don't want. Okay? Let's take a look now at the 3 different things that I like to. Whether you're, let's start with people that are in love, then we'll go looking for love, and then we'll look at people that are single and happy. All right, for anyone who is currently in a relationship, I'll turn the camera down as I do this because there's a lot to kind of look at and decompress. If you're in a relationship, it's a little tricky right now, I'm going to be honest, because the three, well, there's a lot of cards that pop out to me, but if I were to look at three that really are pivotal here, past, near future, and future, we have Judgment, Seven of Swords, and Six of Swords. What's kind of all around this? So this would be a decision at hand. This would be something about really getting honest and about maybe calling someone on a place where they didn't come through. And this is a decision to move on. Either move on past this or move on, literally decide to move. What's going on though is some of you are really engrossed in work because Eight of Wands and Pentacles are work. So it's going to be hard to have the communication. Some of you are just fatigued. You're sick of dealing with certain things. You're sick and tired maybe of certain communications that aren't going the way they need to. Communications coming through really sharp and pointed with the Page of Swords and the Queen of Swords reversed in the past and even right now. You might be taking things really personally. So we need to improve communications. We need to slow down the pace a little bit. And you have to decide. You actually already know what to do. You just have to decide what to do about it and how to communicate it. If you're going to, like the Nine of Wands is actually a hopeful card. This can tell me that you're not going to give up. There's a lot to do. But if anyone is pushy, abusive, or disrespectful, this is saying enough is enough, I'm moving on. So you've got to do some cleaning up in current relationships. The other thing that's coming through is there might just be a big opportunity and you're in disagreement on how that opportunity pans out. So communication is the main thing. Don't get tired. Don't walk away. Make sure you have the communication and leave things on a clean note. That would be my advice. Overall, some of you just need some time to yourself, or maybe you need to time like a little trip together or something like that. So it is a good time for like a late honeymoon or just a little holiday or some together time. But there's also going to have to be some real conversations coming through. I think one of the big problems with some of the current relationships is there's just too much that you have in common. And you might be dating another air sign, or you just have a talker for a partner, and the two of you are kind of crossing hairs a little bit, like crossing wires, and it's not getting through the way it needs to. But if you're strong and if you deal with this, then you can actually just figuratively move on and move past this. So I have faith for that, but it requires a little bit of work. Okay. The next thing that I would say is, for those of you that are looking for love this month, you really want to get to know someone and don't move too quickly. When the Seven of Swords is coming through, you may not be as ready as you think. Some of you might be on a rebound. Judgment can be an old relationship that you kind of like walked out on, or they walked out on you, and you need a little bit more time for this to heal. So be honest with yourself on your current healing process. The other thing that could be coming through is that when you're getting to know someone, they might be putting on a little bit of a facade. So it's going to take a few dates to peel away the onion skins to see what's underneath. So take your time. Don't trust things at face value. Make sure that, again, you're healthy right now. There's a lot going on, and it's really a question of priority. As I'm looking at the center cards, it doesn't look like it is the priority. You might be calling in another air sign or a Leo. For those of you even in a relationship, there's a potential for a third party that's kind of getting in the way here a little bit. Could be a mom, actually, even. But whatever's going on here, I would say right now, if you're looking for love, take care of your health, be honest with yourself, peel away the onion skin as you're talking to someone, really get to know them, and then take your time. It does look like relationships could be sort of transitional. There could also be a long distance relationship that's at play, and you'll have to put in a little bit more work for that. If you're not looking for love right now, it's actually fortuitous, because I see a lot of movement that can be done with work, a lot of things that could be delivered and kind of spread out there. I missed this message in work a minute ago. If you're doing something that's a product or a service, or you're trying to find work or something like that, look to another country, look beyond the borders. There's actually something about travel that's going to be really important to work. So this would take you away from people in your life anyway. So I think it's a really good time to focus on health, career, and if there is travel or work-related travel, focus on that. There are a couple things that you can do to make it easier if you're looking for love, and that's to be kinder to yourself, which is what we saw with this one, Think Loving Thoughts. It came through again with this, because other people already see you in that more transformational energy of this King of Swords. All right. So anyway, overall, looking pretty good for all aspects of love. Let's go on to the lovely spider at the end, the tarantula. I've used this before as a totem. It's a pretty interesting totem, actually. They don't usually use webs. They'll spin things around the openings. They're very fast. They move slowly until they don't have to, and then they can like jump or they can pounce on things pretty fast. So what I see with the tarantula is hidden strength and hidden speed. Again, the sprinting. When these things want to move fast, they can. So if there's something you really need to get done, this is in your destiny spot, take that moment and kind of like seize it. Seize the day, seize the moment. And this is a hunter. And so if there's something you want, you have to go after it. Whenever a spider symbol comes through, it's also, even if they do sort of spin really light webs, they spin webs. So know this, very attractive energy. You can pull things in and it will stick, like I said, but also try not to get caught in other people's webs. A tarantula is not against eating another tarantula. So watch who's around you carefully. Avoid anyone that's acting tricky. And if you need to, that's the kind of relationship you want to move on from. If it's someone who you just like, that's the final straw, enough is enough, move on, you'll be fine. You can do this on your own if you need to. I'm not afraid of a snake or a spider in a spread because they're very good, strong symbols. They're also good at taking care of themselves. And they're, again, pretty decent like hunters too. Other things can eat them, but not many things eat the tarantula. So that's a pretty good symbol on the totem here. So I like that. So seize the moment is the main thing that I get from that, okay? All right, let's move on to the next portion. We're gonna go to blessings and blocks. Before I do that, the big idea, I'm gonna sum it up really quickly. The big idea for this month is an opportunity. Everything else I talked about is kind of inconsequential. There's an opportunity and there's movement. You need movement to make this opportunity happen. You're either pushing it forward or you're moving on or literally moving to make that happen. So the big idea is, are you ready to make the move? Because it feels like you already made the decision to move. So this is just waiting to manifest and waiting for you to take that step. There's a lot of other things around it, but there's a big movement happening and you could be so busy that you missed that window. So don't miss the window. That's the big idea for this month. And that's the replacement for my long-winded summary. And I think it's a little bit better. All right, let's move along now to blessings and blocks. Blessings and blocks, opportunities and potential literal blocks that could come through into your life. All right, so let's look at the blessing first, something to embrace and something to put a little bit more energy into. What is Libra's blessing? And let's see how you can embrace it. Okay, so your blessing this month, it's really interesting. A lot of times we get hidden blessings or kind of the cards reverse themselves a little bit. So the Five of Pentacles. For some of you, there could be a person walking out of your life. So this is a blessing in disguise. So with the Five of Pentacles, this is someone who walks away and makes it about you on some levels. They could just say, you never appreciate me or you never understand me, but that's not the case. There's someone who is kind of making the narrative about them when it's not about them. You get to see that and you get to stop putting the energy into that sort of person that always will take more and more, but never do the work on themselves. So there is someone in your midst that they're just not ready to grow. We're not going to judge them, but what we can see is that they're not yet ready for that. And even when there's love and support, which is why the interesting thing with the Five of Pentacles is there is sanctuary, there is support. There's even someone right here, but the two rarely connect. So this could also be the wires not connecting. So I think the blessing here is that you've figured it out. We saw it here with the Seven of Swords. So I think that for some of you, you just kind of got that reality check. It's not worth it, because this can also be about cutting losses, right? So I think for some of you, you're just cutting losses and deciding at this point, okay, I'm going to move on. I'm going to invest in something better. Some of you may also be making peace with a wound from the past. So this is a chance to reconcile with a child or with a parent. This can also be a chance to understand self-worth and move beyond, to open the door to the sanctuary behind you. So you see your self-worth, you heal something from the past, possibly a mother, because the crone again would be divine feminine, and then or grandmother. And then the next piece is not deciding to invest in a relationship where it just keeps going in one direction. So it's a mixed It's a blessing in disguise. It seems like it's not, but it is. You sort of get this moment of aha. All right. Now let's look at the block and let's see if it looks like a blessing, because they're kind of reversed this month. What could potentially block you or take you off your path? All right, so it really is kind of interesting. We have friends and family. And you know what? They actually often are the block, aren't they? Because they love you and they want the best for you. This is particularly, we kind of have, this is usually a sibling card, but it can be someone just in your family or an old friend from the past. But what we have here is either like older sister or mom kind of coming in, and sometimes you can never grow up. You can never get out of that role of sister, daughter, son, whatever. This is your chance to break free of the past and to actually say, yeah, I'm an adult now and I can do this differently this time around. It's interesting that we actually have the family energy in both cards. So I feel like many of you are redefining who you are. And the block is that some people want to see you as that little kid, but you're not. You're more than that. And when you actually, the blessing is you're ready to move on, and they may say, but what am I going to do without you? And the block is they want you to kind of stay in that old template. So you're going to be fine and they're going to be fine. Change is scary. For old partners, for parents, for family, when you step into something new, they want the best. They just want you to stay the same, but you can't. You can't stay the same. You have to keep moving. Okay. So I think that's the most important piece to focus on right now for those two cards. So let's go ahead now and move on to the next thing, the soul path. Before I do that, I want to look at some viewers' choice questions that I can put up there. So I'm going to create a poll right now. We're going to do a viewers' choice poll, viewers' choice. And as I look at all of these cards, there's some tricky ones that I want to look at. So the Seven of Swords, I think, is worth delving into. So let's take a look at difficult conversations. That's really what it can sum up. So having difficult conversations, I'll put having difficult conversations. So that's one. The other thing here is breaking the mold, because what we really saw with the blessing and the block is that you're ready to come through that kind of chrysalis, break through that mold, but people won't let you. So just breaking the mold. See if there's a message about that. Let me do one more for good measure. I'm going to do the tarantula in the viewer's choice, or not the viewer's choice, but in the soul path. I think the other thing was with the judgment, making peace with your decision, deciding. But I'll put that, making peace with your decision, making peace with your decision. All right, I'm launching the poll now. If you're watching on a television, you won't be able to see it. And if you're watching on replay, it won't show up. But if you're watching me live on the 16th of September, it'll probably be towards the top of the chat, and you can just click on your favorite choices. Take your time while I go into the next question, and then we'll take a look at the viewer's choice in just a second. All right, so other things that I'm looking at here, with the Eight of Wands, one of my questions that I have for you is how can you not get lost in the shuffle? Because I think one of the things here, as the synchronicity is coming into your life, I want to make sure that you don't miss the synchronicity. So how can you make sure that you see and recognize the synchronicity? I would say, because this was part of the big idea, it's possibly the most important question. So how can you identify the opportunity on the horizon? All right, we have the Queen of Wands in reverse. Again, with overthinking, Queen of Wands is great because she's, to me, one of the most magical cards. She can make, growth and abundance happen in the least and most unlikely places. But she sometimes can overthink when she's reversed. Sometimes she can spend too much time managing people that don't want to listen or receive that sort of advice or management. So take care of your life, manage and pay attention to your own business first and foremost. Let people come to you. And then if you get an epiphany or if you get an opportunity, again, kind of I said it earlier, but don't overthink it. And don't be too stubborn in the way that something needs to get done, because the opportunity that's presenting itself could be unconventional, could be unusual. And this is requiring a leap of faith on your part. So be open to doing it from a different angle, different perspective. I want to look at the tarantula too. So the second piece that I want to look at before I go into the viewer's poll here, the viewer's choice, is to see how can you seize the opportunity once you recognize it? Like, let's look at timing a little bit. Is there any messages on timing? So again, while I'm doing this, make sure that you're clicking on your favorite choice. And let's take a look at timing when we're looking at big opportunities here. And then I'm going to look at viewer's choice. All right, timing. No rest for the weary. Four of Swords definitely came through when I was channeling messages earlier. I even got like 3 or 4 in the morning. Some of you are waking up. When I saw the track and field exercising, it looked like it was in the early parts of the morning, like 5 a.m. So some of you are lacking the sleep that you need to get this done. The card was reversed. Some of you just don't have time. You're too fatigued. So when the moment to sort of like energize happens, it's not. So I want you to make sure, and it goes hand in hand with this Queen of Pentacles, or not the Queen of Pentacles, but the Queen of Wands card. So she's a boss. She can be bossy. She can be a busybody. So try not to get in everyone and everything's business. Focus then on resting and doing your own things, because that's when things start to get clear for you. So the tarantula, like I was talking about the cobwebs, you don't want to get in other people's webs. Focus on doing you, call in what you need, allow people to come to you, choose if and when you want to accept those people as a mentor, as a client, etc., because your time is valuable and it's important for you not to overextend. All right, so let's take a look now at the viewer's choice poll, and let's see what's winning here. It looks like Breaking the Mold has got about 41% of the poll. I'm going to go ahead and end it now, and we'll allow it to kind of tabulate everything, but it looks like that's the winner. So I'm going to shuffle while that's getting tabulated. Thank you to everybody that participated in that. I hope you enjoy those live polls. So yeah, we got 121 votes. So thank you to everyone that did that. And yes, Breaking the Mold got 41% of this. So just to kind of remind people why we got it, with the 6 of Cups and the 5 of Pentacles, some of you are in a position where people around you just are not ready, willing, or able to see you for who you are. And you know that you need to be authentic, and you know that you need to be able to do that, but it's hard sometimes. So let's see what we can do to help you either feel the strength to do it or to potentially communicate to someone else. All right, what a great card to come through for Breaking the Mold. So the World is really the graduation card. This is your graduation cap. There's something bigger and better waiting for you. It requires, you got the 2 move cards too. The only thing missing here is maybe the Fool, or maybe the 10 of Wands, but these are 2 cards showing a move is necessary. When you make this change to yourself or in your life or for the better, this is going to also get you out there in a bigger way. What makes us different makes us strong. When you think of the landscape of like musicians out there are a bunch of them that sound the same. You could think of one singer and say, yeah, this one sounds like that. But it's the unique voices that really stand the test of time, and that maybe you can count on a few hands, right? Like Aretha Franklin or Whitney Houston or David Bowie or any number of those where they sort of have something weird about their voice or unique or very special. Stevie Wonder is another one where they just kind of stand out. It's like a certain quality, a certain technique. So what's going on with you that makes you stand out, makes you unique? That's what's going to make you memorable, like on the top 5 list of great musicians or great writers or great business minds. So the more unique you can be, the more you can get out there in the world, because people are tired of cookie cutters. Like I think one thing that we've been seeing over the past 4 years, definitely the past year or so with the pandemic, is we need a change. And that's really what that forced us to do. It gave us a year or more to hermit, and now everything's changing. It was a hermit and a tower pushed together. And now for you, what do you have to lose? Life is not, it's finite and there's no guarantees on it. So why put it off for a rainy day, or why wait for people to come around? Make the change now. It's going to be all right. If you're okay with it, other people will be okay with it. And that's really the litmus test. And that's really the big idea of that one, is if you can get okay with it and deliver that you're okay with it. If people aren't, then you know that they're not part of this new you. Okay. Great card for delivery, for dissemination, for publication, for recognition, for expansion. It's one of the best cards you can pull in the deck. Okay. So there's no reason not to make this change. This and the star, but really this. I mean, in the major arcana, you can't get better than the world, really, okay? So I feel good about the change for you. All right, so that was the viewer's choice, and what a great question you guys chose. We're going to meditate in just a moment, and then we'll go to the final card. Before I get into any of that, the final card is the final question that you want to ask me. Because I don't take live questions, what you can do is meditate on something that you need an answer to. Maybe it's a relationship question. Maybe it's related to this viewer's choice, and you want to figure out, how can I get into this big, expansive next moment? If that's the case, what I want to do is help you figure that out. And I will, with you, we'll meditate and we'll figure out how to kind of move through that. Breaking the mold is so important, and stepping into that new you is so important, okay? A couple of quick notes. If you missed anything today, I type a pretty detailed recap on social media. So you can go to Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. YouTube, it's on the community tab, so you can see some samples of this right now. I will type up all of these notes that I did on the written ones at the beginning of the channel messages. And it's a great way, if you missed something, to just kind of get the gist of what I was picking up on. I don't do any of the cards because I would be typing things up for years, and there's actually a character limit, but feel free to join me. And even on Twitter, I'll subtweet all the main ideas. And it's just a nice way to kind of figure out what was said and to jog your memory. So follow me on social media if you haven't already. Please follow me here if you haven't, because like I said, we're really close to a milestone. So hit that thumbs up, hit the notification so you don't miss a new video, and subscribe if you've never done that before. For today's meditation, one thing that I like to do is, as we looked at the environment today, I see it here with all the birds and the butterflies. It was the movement, the communication, and the breaking of the mold. Let's break the mold, because that's what we were focusing on. So I want you to kind of imagine like you are a moth or a butterfly or a dragonfly, and you're going to come out of your mold, your respective mold, whatever it is, whether it's a pupa or a chrysalis or a cocoon. Pick your favorite one. But just imagine that this is your moment to really break out. Think about what you want me to look at, whatever question you have, and then I'll pull a final card after we meditate. Meditation will last 2 minutes, and then we'll get into the final card. All right. So let's imagine that it's the middle of the day. You're in the forest by the water, and I'm going to do a butterfly just because it's easy. So imagine that you have spent this time thinking about what you want, remembering that we had the judgment card earlier. So I feel like a lot of you already know the necessary movement, but there's some sort of a hesitation. You're either waiting for someone to come in and tell you to do it, or you're waiting for an inner calling to say, there's no way that I can't do it, so I better do it now. So close your eyes and see yourself in that energetic cocoon, kind of hanging upside down on the tree, ready to make this moment happen. I want you in this moment in time to decide, I am ready. Let's do this. I'm ready for love, abundance, and opportunity in the highest forms. Not only that, but I am strong enough to call this opportunity into my life. Feel that there is a strength welling up right in your solar plexus, right around your belly button. See that you are able to really bring forth that energy, that you're going to be able to make a difference and make an impact. Create a synchronicity in your life. And know that you have the strength and the power to seize the opportunity. Closing your eyes, I want you to imagine that the cocoon, instead of you having to even break through it, imagine that it just starts to light up, this beautiful golden light around your body. It melts like gold, and as it starts to melt away, you see that gold light remain, and you are looking, just imagine that you could spread out your wings for a moment and fly over to the water. I want you to see yourself in this new you. So whether it's a human form or the butterfly or the dragonfly or whatever, it doesn't matter. Just see yourself as beautiful, deserving, strong, and ready. And as I play this singing bowl, I want you to take flight, move towards your goal. There's no more delay. Today, it's going to start to happen. We're opening the portal. Fly towards that opportunity. Take a deep breath, inhale, and then we'll take a look at your message when we're done. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Allow yourself to gently float back towards your body. Energetic and physical bodies combining into one. Rub your hands together. Seal this new vision that you have for yourself into your heart space. And again, make a promise that you're going to take that first step today. Make a call, send an email, or just decide I'm ready. That readiness, that preparedness is so important. Also, seeing that you are what you've been trying to be, what you're trying to become, seeing that you've already done the work, that's a key step because you're further along on this journey than you've given yourself credit for. Looking now at the final card for today, think of a question that you have for me, something that I haven't answered yet. I see people are asking questions in chat. This is the time to think about it. So whether it's an old relationship, a new job, whatever it is, think about that person, place, or thing. Hold it in your head for a second as I focus on the collective energy around that, and then we'll take a look at it. So the answer to your question to me is Ace of Wands. It's a yes. It also shows that it's a great idea. There is action that needs to be taken on this, but this is a really good idea and a really good beginning. Some of you may have been presented with an option or even just someone that is interested in you, but they're interested in you because of your thoughts, your energy, what you have to offer. So I like this. And we see this nice little city on the horizon here. So it feels like you're on a really good path. This can aces and court cards, they can be 1s and 10s sometimes. Court cards are usually more of a 10. This is more of a 1. So I want to see some action happen over the next 1 month, but also I would even say like the next 1 year. There's a really good cycle that you're starting. You got 2 aces. This is money and opportunity. This is ideas. This can also show a really strong attraction. So if I was looking at a relationship, this would be a physical attraction, but in an idea, it could be sort of like, I really think that this is something that I like. So I see attractive energy. I see good beginnings. You have a couple of aces this month, which shows that I think the biggest choice for you, Libra, is what do you want? And what do you want to put your energy into? Because I can see you're busy and or successful. It's just sort of like, what do you want next? And what are you willing to kind of juggle around to make it happen? All right. Good stuff on the horizon for you. And, you know, I have been picking up for Libra also just partnership energy. But I would say the one thing for you is just to focus on some of these things that we saw here, physical strength, your kind of clearing out the energetic closet around you. So if there are any relationships where things just aren't where they need to be, making sure that you get that cleared out before you bring someone else in. And definitely a move for some of you. You got a couple cards of moving. Faster than you think, based on what I'm seeing here. So yes on breaking the mold, and yes on doing something different or trying something new. Some really good energy, some really great cards coming forth for you. Okay, don't lose track of the fact that you're a creator as well. All right, Libra, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Again, this can be used for the next 6 to 8 weeks. I hope you enjoyed it. I know many of you will be having birthdays over the next month, so early happy birthday. We'll do that again next month when I'm live. And a reminder that I'll be back tomorrow for Scorpio. And then I'll be doing, these are on my main page as well, but let me just give you the link to all of this. So we have Scorpio coming up on Friday, same time, same place. The weekly collective on Sunday, and that's a 7-day forecast, and then Sagittarius on Monday. So let me give you a link to all of this so that you can see my schedule. And I hope to see you at whichever ones you like to show up with. Definitely the Sunday collectives, if you can make it, it would be great to see you. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Let me quickly say thank you to those of you that were kind enough to give back today. I always like to do that at the end. So let me do that. I saw we had a new member too. I will try to mention that in just a second, but I'm going to start first with anyone that was kind enough to give a super chat. Actually, I think Suzette showed up as the new member, so I just want to say thank you. And then let's go into those of you that gave back today. And let me put on my glasses for this, and we'll say thank you. All right, so first and foremost, I want to say thanks to Lydia. Really appreciate your contribution. Same thing with Kathy. Thank you. That was a very generous one there with the $20. Much love and light. Shanti, thank you. Tishay B336, good to see you again. I hope you're doing great. Raven Robinson, thank you for the $9. Wendy Wright, thank you. Let's see, Damla, I hope I said that correctly. I appreciate it. Steph and Robin and Robert, good to see you again, Robert. And thank you, Robert, for the $50. That helps a lot. Hope you're doing well. All right, I think that's everyone. Jeanette, I see you just added a little bit, so thank you. Quick note for those of you that have thought of joining the channel, joining it allows you to cast an extra vote. It'll also allow you to ask me some questions because when I hit 300,000 viewers here, or subscribers, I'm going to do a Q&A. So usually every milestone, I open it up to Q&A for anyone that's a channel member or a patron. So I will post different areas there where you can submit questions, and then maybe I'll pick my favorites, maybe even have you guys vote on the top ones, and that's a way to give back. Thank you, Tatiana, for that as well. All right, everybody, have a fantastic day and a fantastic month ahead, and I'll see you again.